Welcome back. It's been a couple weeks. A lot has happened since then. Working with my buddy Chris and his friend Dan, we think we got something that will work here. What we've done is taken this part here, put it into a lathe, cleaned up the surface, and put on a repair sleeve. What this does is it presses on and then you cut off the excess. It gives you a nice uniform surface for the seal to go onto. The one that we ended up using for this was the SKF Speedy Sleeve 99175. That seemed to work really well for this and should give us a nice clean surface to seal on. Now this here, where the seal actually goes in, we debated a lot on making a new one with the dimensions that a new different seal could go into, and then Chris found a seal that actually would work on this with that yoke and this housing. That is an SFK 17605. Yet again, his friend Dan cleaned up this part here, pressed in the seal for me. Okay, now that we have seen what we're working with, let's get underneath the car and put it back together. Hopefully I can remember how all these parts go back together. Now that we're back under the car, hopefully not too much has changed since I was last here. There is a seal here and I don't have it. This one's in really good condition, so we'll keep up with it. I'm going to clean these studs and clean the hardware real quick, and then we'll get back to assembling all this. Okay, hardware cleaned up, bearing cleaned up. Let's clean up this race a little bit. Looks like some grime has fallen in there. Okay. Now, because I'm reusing the seal, I wanted to give it something to seal. I looked high and low for RTV and couldn't find it, but I did find some gasket maker, so that's close enough. Part of this channel is figuring out what doesn't work, and we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure this one out together. So, just want to make a little ring around here. Now, I know somebody that's watching this is screaming, and yeah, I'll probably hear you in the future. Put fluid in this thing, it's all pouring out the front, but let's see what using the wrong product does together. Trying my best to keep this off of the bearing race for what seems like obvious reasons, but all right. And let's put that away before we make too many problems for ourselves. Clean up a little bit of spillage I have here. All right. Hopefully that's the only stupid thing I'm going to have to do today. Now, all right. Clean this up a little bit. So now that we got everything clean, let's put this on. It really doesn't matter, but we'll do that way. Oh, that very much matters. All right, step one of putting this back together is we take these two shims, clean any debris that we have on them off. These two shims are used to to set the lash, which will be the distance that the other end of this gear is on the gear over there. We'll set that into place, because when we tighten down this nut, it's going to pull this and it's going to sandwich all that together. So next will be this piece here, I believe, and I wanted that to be on the top just because. All right. Put a lock washer on there, lock washer on there, thread a nut on, okay, that is about as tight as I'm going to get it. Next is putting this on and hoping that we press this sleeve into the correct spot. So, come on. Mess up these splines. Let me put a little bit of oil on here. That might help us slide together a little bit. Ouch. Okay. Let's see if that helps any. Probably not, but we'll see. Come on. Are you fighting me on this? Really don't want to have to use force with this. Man, this feels really tight. All right, we're now to the point where we could use this nut to draw it in. Which, were you this size? No, of course not. You were this size. Yes, you were. And this is probably just going to make you spin the rear end around, huh? Hey. Well, that's any consolation. It tells us what kind of rear end we have. Okay. Well, seeing how we are way past the hole on here, I need to find myself a cotter pin. Alright, that's the next hunt. And I might as well look and see what that's supposed to be torqued down to. Okay, I found out why this didn't look right. It would appear I forgot to put a washer on. So let's take that back off. And this is the big problem with taking big breaks in between doing things. You tend to forget stuff. All right. I also, what did I do with it? I also looked and found that the appropriate torque for this is between 110 and 115 foot-pounds. So I have somewhere, let me go get it, a proper torque wrench. Almost there. Almost there. Got a couple beeps. There we go. That's what we wanted to hear. Did not like how I had to do that. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Now, hopefully that lines up somewhere where one of these, it does. Good. Alright, might have to do a little bit of playing around with this so that it will slide in there, because the cotter pin is bigger than this opening is, so kind of banana shape it a little bit and hopefully we can get it to play nice. Come on. There it goes. All right. Take this, bend it over. Seems to be a bit of a debate on the proper way of bending one of these. I'm sure this is not it, but do you take one and slide it through and bend it this way? Or do you take them and splay them around that way? I've always done it this way, where you take it and then you take one of them and bend it back. But regardless of how it's supposed to be done, it is done. That is attached. All right, now let's take this seal and clean it up. This is the seal that goes here that seals this from this, and also we'll clean up this spring a little bit because that goes back in here and pushes in on the innards of the drive shaft. So a little bit of cleaning, I'll be right back with you. Okay, and we're back. We'll put that in there. I noticed the spring is offset ever so slightly. I don't know why, but it is. That is going to be a problem with the other side of that cotter pin is in the way of. Yeah, that's better. Weird that that's like that, but okay. Now we'll put this gasket. Now what I thought was kind of interesting is there's a 3 imprinted in that, so we'll line up the 3 again, because that seems like something that would be fun to do. All right. New old gasket in place. Now we need to loosen all of this up. Okay. Oh, this is going to be interesting. What is that? Oh, that's... Alright, so I can push on that, but that's going to push on that, which is going to make me have to push on all this stuff. And where did that go? Okay, so what's happening is this boot is sliding in and out. There's a thing in the center of it that the spring pushes up against. So I have to compress this spring while pushing the drive shaft back, not just the boot, and get this all to line back up. All right. We're partially there. Come on, gasket. You're going to want to ask you kindly to work with me here. Oh, man. None of this is working kindly with me. And I thought normal ones were a pain in the butt. Okay. Let's see if I squeeze that in. And then I take this and I... Aha! All right. That is kind of, sort of... No, there you go. That's kind of, sort of where I want it to be. Okay. Now, of course, I have these all still bolted together. Let's okay, no, go away, there you go, stick this, okay, that's close enough to being there. That should at least hold us together while we fight these other 3. All right. That should be that. All right. Feels like the brakes are dragging a little bit. But those might need to be adjusted. I was looking to see if there is, and I don't see it, a grease fitting, because I figured while I was at it, I'd grease this, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Just take a quick look and make sure that that is in there. Yep, all right. Lastly, we go to the other side of the axle and put in some new gear oil. Fill that up. So let's take you over there and do that now. Okay, here we are yet again, back of the rear end. We'll take this off and we will fill this up with fluid. I said, let's take this off so we can fill it with fluid. There we go. Okay, now I have also found that over the years there's nothing in the world that smells quite as terrible as gear oil. What I'm filling this up with is straight 40 weight, straight 140 weight. I hate the smell of gear oil. It is, I don't know. I just never liked the smell of it. Basically, you've seen me do this a couple times now. You fill it up until it starts pouring out. That's how you know you're full. And because I was never a Boy Scout, I am making a mess everywhere. Let me go grab some towels because that's going to stink up this garage for a week. Okay. Yep. All right, let's cap this off. Tighten it down. And there you have it. Okay, so now we clean up our mess, and by clean up our mess I mean just take everything off the floor and throw it on the workbench. And we should be able to go see how it drives. Alright, so the car's on the ground, garage is clean. Let's go take it for a ride. We'll see how the parking brake works. Let's just enjoy this beautiful day we have. Alright, first off, let's check the parking brake. It seems to be stopping, and yeah, holding. Alright, go take it for a quick drive around the block. Well, there you have it. Successful test drive after some challenging repairs. Hopefully we don't have too much trouble with the next set of repairs, but until then, take care.